Hello again and welcome to another Mordy and Glory Warhammer 40k video. In today's episode, we shall be casting our ever critical eye over another 10th edition Imperial Guard datasheet. And once again, we shall be taking to the skies of Forge World, looking over the Thunderbolt Heavy Fighter. And so, without further ado, let's chocks away and fly right into today's episode. As is tradition, let us begin with a brief overview of what the hell this unit actually is. The Thunderbolt is the main fighter aircraft of the Imperium. Whilst it's not as light and maneuverable as some of the other flyers such as the Lightning, it boasts much higher durability and comes with a lot more gun. Whether you need to strafe enemy columns, carry out bombing raids or dogfight with other planes, the Thunderbolt has got you covered. At least that's how it is in the fluff. But what about the crunch? How does this thing perform on the tabletop? Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's dive into the datasheet, starting off with the stat line. Like most aircraft, the Thunderbolt has a minimum move value of 20 inches. This means it has to go at least 20 inches a turn, but there's no maximum to its move. So you can go as far as you want, as long as you go at least 20 inches. This does give the Thunderbolt fantastic speed. It can get anywhere you need to on the battlefield, but you might not be able to hit the same target twice. You might line yourself up going after one thing, shoot it, and then go past it and not be able to see it again. So when using flyers, what you want to do is either put yourself in a position where you'll be able to see the same target more than once, maybe move a little bit slower, only go that minimum move, or set yourself up where you can zoom around the board, but you know you're going to be targeting a different thing each turn. We then get to the defensive stats of the Thunderbolt, and it has toughness 10, a 3-up save, and 15 wounds. In comparison to things like the Avenger Strike Fighter and the Lightning, which are very much light aircraft, this gives the Thunderbolt an extra pip of toughness and an extra wound. The extra pip of toughness is very welcome. It means that things like autocannons, which are pretty common, autocannons and their equivalent are a widespread weapon, are going to be wounding you on 5s rather than wounding you on 4s. It means that proper anti-tank like las cannons are going to have to be put into the Thunderbolt. I've talked about this concept of there not being much difference between sort of T10 and sort of T11 when it comes to las cannons when I've covered the Hellhound, and it very much applies here. You might think that a Leman Russ is like way more durable than a Thunderbolt or a Hellhound, but actually when it comes to being wounded, the las cannon wounds a main battle tank like the Russ just as easily as it wounds something like the Thunderbolt Heavy Fighter. So you're still pretty durable against those things like las cannons. You're as durable as a Russ, but now you're less likely to get picked out of the sky by those traditional anti-light vehicle weapons such as autocannons. Also, it's important to remember that T10 means that heavy bolters are no longer a big threat to you as well. And heavy bolters are really common. I mean, every Imperium army straps heavy bolters just casually, willy-nilly all over their vehicles. Now those heavy bolters and any weapons below that are going to be wounding you on 6s. So they're going to be fishing for 6s at best to try and do some damage to you, scratch your paint. It means proper anti-tank is needed to deal with the Thunderbolt. You've then got a leadership of 7+, which is standard issue in the Guard, and you've also got an objective control of 0. So you cannot hold objectives with the Thunderbolt. It's a flyer. You can take people off the objectives, but you can't hold them yourselves. You're too high up in the sky to really be able to hold ground. But it's not just about how well this thing can take a punch. It can also dole out some pretty decent firepower as well. As standard, each Thunderbolt comes equipped with the Thunderbolt nose autocannons and 2 las cannons and an armoured hull. You can also equip this model with 1 Thunderbolt Hellstrike rack, and it's totally free and it doesn't replace any of the weapons, So there's no disadvantage to doing this. Just take it. Do it. If you don't do it, all you're doing is hamstringing yourself for no real good reason. And you definitely want to have that Hellstrike rack on, because it's going to add just a bit more punch to this already quite daiquiri vehicle. Now, the las cannons are the same as you find elsewhere in the game. 48-inch range, 1 attack, ballistic skill 4+, strength 12, AP -3, d6 +1 damage. Bear in mind that the Thunderbolt comes with 2 las cannons. Not twin las cannons, but 2 individual las cannons. So you will get 2 of these las cannon shots a turn. You've then got the Hellstrike rack, which is similar to what we saw on the Lightning. This is 48-inch range, 2 attacks, ballistic skill 4+, strength 10, AP -3, and d6 damage. It's kind of like a souped up crack rocket, because the crack rocket obviously that you find on like your missile teams and Torx Primes and many blades. Crack rockets are very as common as autocannons and las cannons in the Imperium. Crack rocket, devastators, all that kind of stuff. But it's kind of like a better version of the crack rocket. It's got more strength and it's got more AP. It does do 2 shots as well. So this thing is actually and I would class the Hellstrike rack as an anti-tank weapon, as an anti-vehicle weapon, because of that AP and that damage. So this thing is actually putting out 4 anti-tank shots. That is as many as the Lightning. And the Lightning is solely dedicated to like tank busting and taking out those hard targets. Like the Lightning Hellstrike rack, this thing also has anti-fly 2+. To be clear, this is not anti-flyer. This is not just for shooting other planes down. This is anti-fly. Anything that has fly in the game. Now, obviously, if you're shooting at jetpack infantry, strength 10, you're probably winning 1-2s anyway. But when we start looking at skimmers, there's like a lot of Eldar vehicles. I mean, Eldar are very common. They're very powerful in 10th. So being able to wound those fire prisms and those night spinners on 2s rather than 3s, it's a nice little boost. So this thing has got 4 anti-tank shots. Like I said, as many as the Lightning. But then on top of that, it's bringing more DACA. It's got the Thunderbolt nose auto cannons. These are also a 48-inch range. They have 4 shots, ballistic skill 4+, strength 9, AP -1, and a damage of flat 3. And they're twin linked. Twin linked takes those Thunderbolt nose autocannons from being anti-light vehicle and sort of anti-infantry to anti-everything. Anyone who's used a Lemurs Exterminator will tell you how nice it is. You know, when you roll the dice for your wounds, you get like, the first time you roll them, you get like 1 wound, like 3 fails, and your opponent goes, I got away with that one, and you go, twin linked, you re-roll them, and you end up picking up 1 or 2 more. It means that this thing could target anything. If it's infantry, you're going to be winning on 2s, you're rolling 1s, guaranteeing to stack those wounds up. If it's light vehicles, you'll be winning on 4s, re-rolling. And even if you're shooting the heaviest armor, even if you're shooting super heavies, up to and including Titans, you're winning on 5s with full re-rolls, giving you much greater reliability, much more opportunity to stack those flat damage 3 wounds. And flat damage 3 is so tasty. Whenever I'm playing guard, the weapons that I gravitate to, the weapons that I look to, is what has flat damage 3. It's why I love autocannons. It's why I love battle cannons. A lot of people don't like the battle cannon, but that flat damage 3 never lets you down. The problem with weapons like las cannons and the Hellstrike rack is they have the potential to do big hits, like 6 damage. But they also, especially with the Hellstrike, could do 1 damage. And the las cannon might do 2 damage. Thunderbolt nose autocannons hit hard every single time. Their only disadvantage is they don't have good AP. Only AP 1. And because they don't have squadron or regiment, this vehicle cannot benefit from fields of fire. But it absolutely can benefit from a Lemurs Exterminator and its Withering Hail, because the Withering Hail affects all Astra Militarum units. You can also benefit, of course, from things like Hellhounds, which can remove cover for other units in your army that shoot at the same target that's been burned. So there are a couple of ways that you can get around the low AP of the nose autocannon. Easiest one being the Exterminator, which you're going to be taking in your army because it is, frankly, an auto-include.
Attention, Guardsmen. This is an announcement by the Departamento Militarum.
Element Games is an official sponsor of the Mordian Glory channel. They offer up to 20% off Warhammer 40k and 10% off bolt action and other game systems. Use the link down in the description to save money and support the channel. Anyone not using the link will be referred to the local commissariat. Also, don't forget that if you use referral code TIM3921, then you will receive double store credit, saving even more money on your future purchases. That's all for now. Fallout! But wait, there's more! Because not only is Thunderbolt bringing the most firepower that we've seen on a fighter aircraft, its ability also improves its damage output. It's a little niche, but it's not as specific as it might seem. Fightercraft is the special rule, is the ability, and each time this model makes a ranged attack that targets a unit that can fly, add 1 to the hit roll. Woohoo, baby! That is nice. There is a shitload of stuff that can fly in this game. You've got the aforementioned Eldar vehicles, but you've also got all of the jump pack stuff. Interceptors, assault intercessors. You've got, well, assault marines aren't really a thing anymore, but I guess the assault intercessors do the same thing. You've got so many different little things that can fly. Half the Tau stuff can fly. Angron can fly. There's a lot of stuff in this game which can fly. And so you will find, maybe not every time that you shoot this thing, but a lot of the time that you fire your Thunderbolt, you're going to have +1 to hit. How I like to look at the Thunderbolt is, it is an all-gas, no-brakes kind of vehicle. Whereas you've got the Avenger, which might get to use its ability or not. It's very niche. And where you've got the Lightning, which is trying to be more defensive with the -1 to hit. The Thunderbolt's like, no, I'm bringing the most guns that I can, and I'm going to try and have scenarios where those guns are going to be hitting on 3s naturally. What this means, by the way, with Fightercraft, is that you can stack Fightercraft and the take aim order. Now, the only way you can order your aircraft is with the Lord Solar, because he can order any Astra Militarum unit. Again, because these things don't have the squadron keyword, they can't be ordered by a tank commander, which is a big sad. Take aim, I get this all the time, where people say you can't stack take aim and +1 to hit. You absolutely can. Take aim increases your ballistic skill characteristic, and fighter aircraft and other things that increase the hit roll are a separate thing. One is affecting your datasheet, one is affecting your dice roll. I've talked about this a lot, so I'm not going to go into it. Long story short, you can stack them. Trust me, trust me, trust me. What this means is that your Thunderbolt, with take aim, shooting at something with fly, can hit on 2s. What this also means is that even if you're not shooting at something that can fly, you could use regimental advisors and use the officer of the fleet. That also gives you +1 to hit. Now, you can't stack fighter aircraft and the officer of the fleet, but again, even if you're shooting a ground target, you can get yourself up to hitting on 2s with the Thunderbolt, and it's bringing the firepower to bear, which makes that worthwhile to do so. However, what goes up must come down. And whilst the Thunderbolt is pretty durable, and whilst the Thunderbolt has fantastic damage potential, it is a pricey bitch. Thunderbolt heavy fighters are going to set you back 200 points. That is significantly more than a Lightning and significantly more than an Avenger. It is more than taking a Lehman Russ. And Russes are good. I think that the Thunderbolt heavy fighter is overcosted. I think that a lot of the Forge World stuff hasn't been updated with its points, not been brought into line with the Munitorum Field Manual. You see this all the time with things like Malcadors. Why does a Malcador cost the same as a Rogel Dawn? And basically it's just a slightly tougher Lehman Russ. Thunderbolt needs to come down in points. It's not a bad unit, and if you're playing a casual game, you can definitely include it and not feel like you're completely hamstringing yourself. But in a competitive game, bearing in mind that the aircraft rules are a bit poo, and if you're not sure about how aircraft work, they have to go in strategic reserve unless they can hover. The Thunderbolt can't hover. And when they come on, they come on like any normal street reserves. They just come on like turn 2, just on the edge of the board. And then it's not until turn 3 when they start zooming around and doing stuff. So between its cost and the janky aircraft rules, I think that the Thunderbolt is something that you can use for fun. Maybe take to a local RTT and not get completely trounced. It'll hold its own in that sort of local meta. But going to a bigger GT is going to struggle, and anything more than that, you're going to be hamstringing yourself. You're going to be actively downgrading your list by including it. It's very cool. It's got a lot of potential, but its points need to come down, and the aircraft rules need a hard look at before this thing becomes take all comers and genuinely competitive. At least that's what I think. But of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Are you a fan of the Thunderbolt? Have you got it to work on the tabletop, or is it another shelf tier unit? If you've enjoyed today's video, don't forget to smash that like button. It really does help with the algorithm. And subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing, truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members, so thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, and they have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a big shout out to Bon Bon Vert, Mad Larkin, Marcus Roberts, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Varney. Thank you guys so much. Your incredible generosity is a massive part of how I'm able to do Mordian Glory full time, and it is a big driving force behind the channel. But I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching, and of course, as always, I'll see you guys next time.